What's up, guys? Once again, my phone shut off. Bear with me. I don't know why Streamlabs does that. Okay. Alright, looks like it's working. I think. I hope. Alright. Yeah, it's working. Alright, guys. How are y'all doing today? I wonder if anybody will join me here. Probably not, but whatever. Wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening in the world right now. If you tell the population, basically, of Earth, of the first world countries at least, if you tell them they can't go outside, they can't go to the park, they can't eat out at restaurants anymore, they can't watch sports, they can't have a drink at the bar, it will cause a certain amount of civil unrest, as they've known since ancient Rome and probably well before then. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm live now, Gary. Talking to my buddy Gary Warner down. Alright. As I was saying, as they've known since ancient Rome, probably before then, beer and circuses. This is how you make sure that society doesn't get so dissatisfied that they start rebelling. If you can distract the population with beer and circuses, then they will not rise up against you, right? Well, what have they done in America and other first world countries? They've gotten rid of going to bars and sports. So they got rid of the beers and circuses. This is a very sure way of seeing what the point of all this is. You make so 14 million Americans lose their jobs. Some say up to 40% of all small businesses, things like small restaurants, family-owned businesses, are going to fall by the wayside because of COVID. And now you have other small businesses that haven't been destroyed because of COVID now getting destroyed by fire and bricks and rocks and spray paint and chairs getting thrown through windows. The protests, the riots, this is a completely orchestrated event. They pissed you off for the last few months by locking you all down, by putting you essentially on house arrest, by making it so you barely have enough money for food. So many people in Denver have gotten kicked out of their condos or apartments. It's not even funny. Tents everywhere. So you make this civil unrest by forcing us all into our homes for a long period of time, and then you spark this racial violence, this racial tension. There have been, I looked just because I was curious. I found 4 different videos on live leaks of cops kneeling on white guys and killing them. Most of them looked like they were struggling and not fighting back. They didn't look as egregious as George Floyd, but nevertheless, look at all the people that are getting hurt and financially devastated. And I think someone got killed last night in New York, if I remember. They are causing this. The powers that be, the government, whatever you want to call them, they want us to fight with each other. They want us to take out our aggression on each other. We need to realize in America right now that there is no such thing as racial hatred based on black and white. It's all about green. Do you think that black protesters would burn down a housing projects? That doesn't make any fucking sense, does it? Like, I certainly don't think that they would. It doesn't make any sense to me. I saw that in Minneapolis and in St. Paul, the protesters in front of different government buildings as they were walking up, they saw stacks of bricks that were put there for them. These protesters even called it out, saying they were being set up, and they were. They definitely were. These protests were being orchestrated to... The government is doing this on purpose. You will soon see why. This will result in a complete change of America, of the world. These protests are global, and they are sown by agent provocateurs. The famous umbrella man that you can see walking around, knocking out windows, carrying an umbrella, wearing a gas mask and gloves. Someone tries to stop him because he just walks away after he commits those acts of vandalism. He's using an umbrella because of satellites, because of drones, because of cameras placed on high vantage points, so no one can identify him. People say that this is a cop. I doubt it's a cop. I believe it's probably something more like NSA, CIA, FBI. They're trying to create unrest. This is obvious. They're trying to make white people and black people fight. They've been pushing this whole boogaloo right-wing narrative for the last little while. And now they're trying to say that, white people in front of convenience stores standing next to two black guys, all armed to the teeth, are white supremacists. Those two white guys that were standing next to two black guys, heavily armed, guarding that convenience store, as soon as they left, that convenience store was looted. This has nothing to do with white supremacy. This is the media stirring racial tension. CNN, they recently got arrested trying to cover the riots. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. They don't arrest journalists. They know they're not going to arrest journalists. They had a white guy, a white cop. What's up, Gary? They had a white cop and a black reporter, and this was to sow the racial divide between Americans. If the cops were truly arresting this reporter, they would have arrested the cameraman first, had him set down the camera and turn it off, like they do with citizens who try to record them doing horrible things. They say, put down the camera, turn the camera off. The reporter got arrested. He even turned around to show you his handcuffs behind his back, show the camera, and then the camera zooms in on him being led away by the police officers, and he was released like an hour later by the mayor. This is a fucking stunt. This is so you see a black man being arrested by a white man. Everything in the media is to sow chaos, racial animosity, hatred. They're doing this on purpose. They created this. This was the purpose of COVID. This is why COVID is just a small virus that can't kill a 104-year-old woman. They had you locked up for the last 3 fucking months because of COVID. This is because they want to sow chaos. They want to push you to the breaking point. And then they want to give you something to fight about, which is racial division. It's a way for people to take out their anger on their peers, as opposed to the people who should have the brunt of their anger targeted at. The Rothschilds. I don't see anybody protesting in front of the Federal Reserve. I don't see anybody protesting in front of the CIA, Quantico, or any of these, Potomac River site American. I don't feel chaotic at all. I've known this is going to happen for a long time. And they're trying to start a helter skelter. They're trying to start the boogaloo. They're trying to start a civil war. Whereas in the past, we had to do what Nazi Germany did with the Weimar Republic, like burning down the Reichstag in order to secure power, in order to secure war, because the war apparatus is what came out of the Reichstag burning. Now, we've done this several times as well, whether it was the Vietnam gunboat, which never fucking happened, or, I mean, it was completely made up, or the fact that we knew about Pearl Harbor before Pearl Harbor happened, or 9/11. All these things were orchestrated. Hey, how's it going, Barb? All of these things are being orchestrated throughout time to bring us to war. They know they can't do that anymore. We figured out how they operate after 9/11. So, what do we do in order to get us into a global war? We make it very tempting for another country to attack us. And how do we do that as America, being a superpower? Well, we talk about how our economy is falling apart. We talk about how we can't produce, the various health items we need, like antibiotics. We present ourselves as this weak... How's it going, Tom? We present ourselves as this weak target for the rest of the planet. And then what we do is we orchestrate a domestic unrest. And eventually another country like China or any major power that has, some beef with us, like, they attack and then we retaliate and completely destroy whatever target attacked us, and then World War III happens. It's an easy way to do it without making it look like you're the one who threw the first punch. However, I don't know, to me, that doesn't quite ring true. It's probably more likely they're doing this in order to declare a state of national emergency and then move in UN peacekeeping troops to quell the unrest and then move us all into... What's up, Gary? I didn't think you'd still be listening, buddy. Move us all into FEMA camps. It's a possibility. I mean, honestly, I couldn't understand for the life of me why they were doing what they did with COVID, why they would lock down basically the entire fucking planet for something that kills between 0.1 to 0.3% of the population, or at the very worst, in Spain, the death toll is 1%. I don't know about you guys personally, but I've talked to my buddies about this. It would have to be like about 10% for me to do what they forced us to do here in America. Maybe like between like 5 and 10%. That's when I'm starting to question whether I'm going outside. 1, 2, 3, 4%. I'm going about my daily life. It doesn't make any sense why they would do this. It doesn't make any sense why they'd lock down the entire fucking country. Unless they were trying to make us break. Unless they were trying to push us to the breaking point. Take away, no beer, no TV makes Homer go crazy. Take away people's bars and their sports, and people start to get a little bit pissed. And then, you start some racial animosity and hatred, and before you know it. But you got to remember that, like, a week before this happened, like, if this shit was real, like, if black people and white people really hate each other as much as the media is trying to make you think that they do, as much as the media is trying to make you hate your fellow human being, like, a week before this happened, there was, like, this big black dude in a nursing home in Detroit who was a nurse, or, worked at the nursing home as an employee, and there's multiple videos of him punching elderly white people in the face multiple times while they can't defend themselves, so they're just laying in bed. Like, that event didn't cause... But maybe it's just because it was the police. But god damn, like, There's been a lot of racial animosity that has been generated just by the media. They've been brainwashing people. They make people. My roommate said something that I thought was a pretty valid point. They force us all into our houses. They make it so that we have to work from home on computers if we have the ability to even do that with our jobs. So they're basically ostracizing everyone in society from the rest of society. And then on top of that, they're making it so if you do go out in public where there might be other humans that you can interact with on a biological basis instead of a digital basis, and an actual human being, they make you wear a mask that you're covering up the majority of your face. If you've ever, met a friend or possibly even started a relationship with someone that you met in person, then you know that, a smile, a facial cue is extremely important in establishing nonverbal communication and opening up the pathway for verbal communication and thus building a relationship. They want to destroy that, just like they want to destroy the family unit. They want to make it so that you hook up with people online, you have one night stands, you get pregnant, you add that fetus, as a newborn into the social collective without a father, without a family, live on the government dole, so you require the government to pay you money every month, or you can't survive. You're basically dependent on the state to help raise your quote-unquote family, and it perpetuates this cycle. This is just like it was in 1984. You have to remember that Winston, the main character in 1984, and then Julia, his girlfriend, the reason that they were being hunted basically and had to hide from Big Brother whenever they were making love is because they were only supposed to be making love once. They weren't supposed to have a family. Like, that was something that was discouraged highly. So Winston and Julia had to always hide their affection for each other. Whenever they were found out that they were in love with each other, they were both sent away to the concentration camps because they defied the will of the state, which is Big Brother is the father of your child, not you. You are just a sperm donor for the state, essentially. And just like in Big Brother, they have the Ministry of Pornography that puts out this artificial sexual release for men and women. What this is what porn does. Not only does it divide you from the other people around you, of the opposite sex, or same sex, depending on what you're into, by making it so that you, instead of sharing an intimate connection with that person, you're instead sharing an intimate connection with a random digital display, that was filmed in Florida or California or some shit. You're sending whenever you have an orgasm, you're sending your energy to that random person, that random probably drug addict who was probably abused as a child, that really doesn't know what to do, or even the fact that you are sending that person your energy. This is why pornography is illegal, or at least you have to have a permit in order to watch pornography in Israel. They know it's detrimental to the family unit. It also makes it so that people have unrealistic expectations of sex. Like, being a single man now, having been around the dating circuit, knowing how freaky girls are these days, like, they ask you to do some things to them that you're not even fucking comfortable with. Like, and I thought of myself as a pretty out there person in that respect. They are trying to destroy the family unit, destroy meaningful connections, loving connections that are formed and expressed through lovemaking. They want to make sure that the sex that you have not only is not with someone that you love or with a potential mate for the rest of your life, it's with a random person, and it's vile. It's not an expression of love, it's an expression of mistrust, pain, and borderline fucking rape these days. Like, it's this is society having brainwashed you. Unfortunately, and I know I sound like a right-wing asshole whenever I say this, but the ideal way to have a society, besides the fact, you wouldn't have money, you wouldn't have government employees that were bureaucrats, besides all of that nonsense, the ideal way to have human life on planet Earth is a family unit. That way, whenever, after you reproduce, your children will be there to help you in the last stages of your life whenever you become basically a full-grown infant. Instead of being put into a nursing home with someone who doesn't care about you, taking care of you, punching you in the face, like that guy in Detroit, you'd actually have your children taking care of you. Margaret Sanger, the person who created Planned Parenthood, was a huge eugenicist. She hated African American people, absolutely hated them. Now look at all the years after Planned Parenthood was formed. Look at what a huge percentage of the African American population is aborted every year. I think they said something like 80 million African Americans would be around today if it wasn't for abortion. They didn't want that, the powers that be. And everyone thinks this is black and white, black versus white. This is green versus people who don't have green. This is money versus people who don't have money. And unless you guys realize this and start working together, the people who have money are going to win this. We need to show them the more powerful weapon in the arsenal is not money, but love. Unconditional love for everyone. Love one another as I have loved you, that you would give up your life for your friends. I think that's, I want to say Matthew 13:34, something like that. This is a very important commandment and something that we're completely... how is burning down a sports bar you getting back at the government? If you want to do this, then if you want to target the government, then protest peacefully outside of places like the Federal Reserve, outside of the Podesta's houses, outside of the many chairman of the World Bank, the World Trade Center. These are places that are actual nodes of evil in America. Protest there. Instead, they're trying to divide us. So we need to use a more powerful tool that is in our arsenal, which is love. We need to realize that a lot of these people who are sowing violence and starting fires are agent provocateurs. They're turning you against your brother. Don't fall for it. Don't be stupid. And please be prepared for what's coming after this, because if you don't think this ends with tanks in the street, then you're fucking kidding yourself. And they have the technology right now to have drones flying around 24/7. These drones can have simple software installed on them where they can identify you based off of your face from a distance. Tie that face to your name. Tie that name to your social media. Figure out whether or not you are an aggressor. And then these little drones can fly right at your head with a couple grams of C4 and bang, you're dead. This is what could happen. But you need to realize how extremely similar this is to Albert Pike and what he said would happen at this time, which is the release of the Nihilist. This is exactly what Albert Pike planned for World War III. Whenever Christians in America had become so disillusioned and lost their faith, they would release the Nihilists. They would let the Nihilists almost destroy America. They'd come in to save the survivors and destroy the Nihilists. And that would be the establishment of their new one world religion, Luciferianism. Which, if you've ever researched Luciferianism, honestly, it's not that bad. So, I don't know. Research it. Look into it. But it's exactly what Albert Pike said. Antifa equals the nihilists that Albert Pike spoke of. Antifa was created by the government so they could walk around with masks on and hoodies and no one would stop them during this phase, which is the destruction of society phase. Remember a few years ago, whenever all this started in 2017, I said that the eclipse in 2017 and in 2024 marked the two bookends of the tribulation, the 7 years of tribulation from the book of Revelation. I'm right. I'm right. I was right then. I'm right now. We are in the midst of the biblical tribulation. You are witnessing it firsthand. Well, I guess I should get off here. I appreciate you guys watching. Everyone who tuned in, thank you very much. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, share this and other videos of mine on your social media. I've lost a lot of subscribers since I started going live, so if you guys could help me balance that out, I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thank y'all. And I will be on Gary's show tomorrow at my time, 11 a.m., which right now is 4:37 p.m. Whatever. I'll post it. What's up, Afro? So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a good night.